You have to be there and provide concierge service type amenities. And then your place has to be unique. What's going to make it stand out? This is Carlos and Dylan, Daryl. We're here at Generation H! Today we're going to be talking about an article that just came out from AirDNA. It's titled U.S. Market Review, Supply Grows to Meet Demands. It's dated for the 13th of June, so I guess that was, 10 days ago or something?
Yep, 10 days ago.
And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reading the article, giving our genuine impressions. Some of us have read through some of it, but we're going to be giving our genuine impression. It's a pretty lengthy article, so we're going to try to skim through it and give you the highlights. But before we get to that, you
need to subscribe and hit that like button.
Yes, just tap.
Just a little tap. And don't forget to share it with your friends, family, anyone who can benefit from it.
Yes, take their phones, download the app if you need to, and subscribe for them.
Yeah.
They will appreciate it in the long run.
And we're on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube, so you can listen to us
anywhere.
So the article, like I read at first, it says U.S. Market Review: Supply grows to meet demand. The U.S. short-term rental supply growth surges to meet rising demand. So, I mean, just a highlight. When I received this email, you guys received the email. I think it said something like demand had decreased by 60.7%.
No, it went down to 60.2%. I think it went down 8% or 18%.
No,
16%.
Yeah, occupancy drops to 60.7% nationwide.
So it went down 30.
So it's at 40%. Yeah,
40%.
Yeah. So if you're in the industry, you have a short-term rental, you've probably been hearing, you've probably seen your numbers go down. So whatever your visitations to your site or like scanning through pictures has gone down. I know they have for me.
Same.
Right? They've probably gone down, 60% from what they were before. I was probably getting like 1,500 views.
But you're still getting the bookings though, right?
Yeah, so conversion ratio is still pretty strong.
So with this, when it says 60%, what does that really mean? Does that mean
the occupancy?
So that means
60% less people are booking?
No, it went down
or
to
40% less people are booking.
Correct.
Is that what that means?
There's 40% less.
So that means there's so many more houses to choose from that people have more options and they don't necessarily pick yours, they're picking his.
So 40,
so now
but
your occupancy rate just dropped.
Right. So if someone was booked, let's say 20 out of 30 nights last May, now they're only booked 12 out of 30 nights. Is that correct?
That's about
down 40%.
Yeah,
down about 40%.
Then that's crazy, right? Because like, if there was only 5 houses in Richmond and all of them were occupied to 100%, and then the following year, because
10 houses
now there's 10 and only 6 of them get occupied 100%, that's still saying the same thing, right?
It is.
Occupancy is down because there's 10 houses available.
Yes.
And 4 of them aren't getting booked.
The same amount of travelers still came to Richmond, but now they have more options to stay.
Occupancy is low. So like that's still a knock on like it's not doing as hot because there's oversupply.
Correct.
There's an oversupply and probably a consistent or decreasing demand.
Well, think about it. Everyone we know wants to have an Airbnb now. It's just it's a growing demand that people don't really want to. COVID kind of screwed the long-term thing up because of the COVID relief and all that.
Yeah.
Now people are like, well, let me change it up from year to year to month or week to week or day to day.
Also, to make the numbers work, they have to go Airbnb versus long-term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is big.
And I was going to say, a lot of the newer investors, they're only running Airbnb numbers, and if something fails or this occupancy goes down 40%, they can't rent for long term because their mortgage doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Which is scary because
super risky.
Yeah.
Or buying like destination spots.
Oh yes.
Yeah, at the beach or at a
Joshua Tree. Yeah.
No joke. That's on here. Yeah.
A lake house or whatever. I mean, those are pretty risky, right? Because like
they are.
They're not. I wouldn't call a regular rental recession proof, but it's not very recession proof.
Correct.
When people go on vacation, it's discretionary income.
And up until the last 2 years, you would have never said that. Because up until the last 2 years, vacation rentals have boomed for the last 20 years.
I have a hard time seeing vacation rentals falling more than just like normal Richmond rentals, though.
I agree. Yeah.
I think those would be the last.
Because you're still there at a beach.
Yeah.
Someone's still going to the beach.
Usually people want to go to the beach regardless. I mean, you might lower your price a little, but
exactly.
I don't
now with rising gas prices and everything else,
yeah,
it might take a little bit of a hit, but
you could.
Yeah.
But not as much as I feel like inner city or like non-vacation or not.
Yeah.
Kind of like ours or in the city.
Yeah.
Or in,
yeah. But I will say that the big differentiator, or what's going to make people stand out and not be part of that 60% drop or 40% drop, is value.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Like, what kind of value are you providing
Correct.
for your Airbnb or for your guests that are staying at your Airbnb?
And they're
if they
going
don't
to
feel like that turnaround,
Yes.
that value is there.
Yep. So now it's going to be more experience based versus just I have a house.
So to your point, that's exactly what Airbnb did, right?
Yeah.
It changed its like profile.
Yep. So now you have different categories.
It's experience based.
Yeah.
It's what are you bringing to the table as an Airbnb host?
Yep.
Not just 4 walls.
Here's a house, a kitchen,
appliances.
and some pots and pans.
Yeah.
Cook your own food. Now it's some of them are putting in stone ovens, so now you have an oven pizza party and just stuff like that. And art ones. I mean, they're just cool ideas that people are running with.
Yeah. So U.S. short-term rentals demand shows weakening in May. This is May of 2022, with nights stayed up another. What staying?
See,
that
doesn't make
17.9.
That contradicts the first statement, doesn't it?
It does.
So it says stayed up another 18% compared to last year. So they got 18% more demand. But why
No,
did
it's
they?
so many
weakening.
houses?
So what it's saying is it's weakening because in
Yeah.
2019
it was
26%. So it's dropped from
okay.
26 to 17.9. So it's
10%
weakening. It's
almost.
not saying that it's
Oh, the rate is
Crushed.
weakening, but it's
Yeah.
still up 17.9 from last
Correct.
year.
from
to
last
this
year, which
Yeah.
they make it sound like it's
Actually,
a horrible thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weakening. It's softening. It's
No,
not the market.
No, it's not, because 26% is for 2 years, right? So that's what
13%?
13% a year, but from last year to this year, it's 17.9, right? So it's strengthening.
No,
It says
No.
26%
I know
compared
it
to
versus
19.
2019. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe let's
That
finish
means
reading
it
that
went
paragraph.
down.
New bookings were
Maybe
also
I'm getting too in the weeds.
new bookings were also healthy in May, topping 17.1 million nights booked during the month, which were up 2.6% compared to last year after 2 consecutive months being below 2021 levels.
Nice. So people are not booking as much.
See, that I don't know. That contradicts what it just said. Again.
Yeah.
So the hospitality industry is benefiting from the strong labor market and alright, shifting well, consumer spending towards
keep
services.
reading
Services. The hospitality industry is benefiting. U.S. employment increased by another 390,000 jobs in May, with 20% of them, 84,000, added in the leisure and hospitality sector. Consumer spending growth has slowed in recent months, mostly after a lack of spending on goods, where spending has fallen for 2 consecutive months. Spending on services like travel, however, has remained strong and was up 5.9% in April.
That's normal. I
Which
feel
is-
like people travel during the summer for
Yeah,
various effects.
And there's a sentiment that this summer is going to be a hot summer because people have been cooped up for
I
2
mean, you've been
years. right?
cooped up for 2 years. Last year, that's why last year was such a huge growth, and now this year things have opened up even more.
Yeah, what's going to be really interesting is it's saying that U.S. employment has increased in those sectors, right?
Yeah.
And leisure and hospitality sectors, but then we're also creeping or already in, arguably, in a recession.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So, like, this is going to take a U-turn. It could take a big U-turn. And if it doesn't, people are going to find themselves in a really tough situation in 6 months.
I agree.
Because all their leisurely spending has happened.
And now
they
here
weren't,
we are.
Yeah, they weren't
recession.
aware of it enough
Yeah.
to be saving.
I mean, you got to think how many concerts are going on now that got postponed from 2 years ago. I know a couple of people.
Concerts.
Yeah, a
Have
couple
you
of
been
people
going
I
to?
know.
Oh
went to
yeah,
concerts.
they've got the concerts like crazy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
2 years ago or last year, how many did you go to?
Yeah, I still went to one last year, but yeah, definitely
Yeah,
not as many.
Then I
Not
know
as
you've
many.
been to like 3 this year.
3 in the last
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to 2 this year so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, everybody's trying to catch up on their money,
Catch up
artists
on
or whatever.
Exactly. Catch
But then
up on all
at the same time, there's additional spending. And then the other paragraphs that goes into oil prices have increased rapidly over the past month and surpasses $120 per barrel over the last week. Further increase in oil prices can slow the growth of summer travel seasons, as high gas prices combined with high inflation reduces consumers' ability to further spend on trips. Yeah. All right. So some key points at a glance. Key U.S. short-term rental performance metrics for the month of May 2022. So available listings reached 1.34 million, up 24.7% year over year.
Yeah, that's big.
So basically, there's in your neighborhood, there went from 5 Airbnbs to now probably
25%.
close to 10.
It's 25% more.
Yeah.
Right?
So.
Wow. So, yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
From 10, I guess it's from 10 to 12.
10 to 13, yeah.
10 to 13.
Almost.
Is a good amount, though.
Oh, that's a good amount. Yeah. Now you have twice as much competition.
Demand is up 17.9%.
So not keeping on pace with the supply,
the availability,
yeah.
and that's what the title was saying, right? Like the demand is not keeping up with availability or supply. So we're gonna be oversaturated.
Why the next one.
Mm-hmm. Occupancy is down 8.4%.
But that's why. Yeah. Because the demand is not as high as the available listings.
Yep. 8.6. The average daily rate are up 4.6%. That makes sense. Things go up. Things are getting more expensive.
Yep. Our taxes.
That makes sense.
Up.
Exactly.
We have to go up a couple dollars a booking.
And that's transferable over to the people. And revenue is 23.3% higher year over year.
Nice.
So available listings are more by 1.34 million. Demand is higher, but it's lower compared to the previous year. But it's still up. Occupancy is down by 8.6%. Average daily rates are up.
Yep.
And then revenue is higher by 23.3% year over year.
Yeah. And then nights booked were up 2.8.
Yeah, 2.8%.
How's occupancy down? What is nights booked? Is it nights booked occupancy? That's what I'm confused. How's occupancy down 8.6 and nights booked?
Because I think that they're going off of nights booked per unit. So say I have a unit, you have a unit, you have a unit.
Occupancy's the rate, so they're talking about occupancy rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and that's just nights booked.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what are y'all seeing with y'all? I mean, are y'all seeing the same? Is it slower or is it? Because I've gotten less traffic, but still just as many bookings.
Yeah, that's the same with me. I've still got just as many bookings on mine, but I do have a month-long one that's probably skewing my numbers a little bit because they're staying in there for a whole month, so it's kind of hard to compare. But so far, I haven't seen anything to change. Like my trajectory that I was expecting.
Have you changed anything since the beginning of summer, since March, since like a different strategy,
like in the Airbnb,
prices,
added, prices,
to provide that kind of value, or have you changed?
I know it's still the same. I wouldn't say I changed anything. Maybe I've increased the prices just a tiny bit, but besides that, I've been kind of just doing it the same and getting booked the same.
Yeah, and
see, I've added a few things like outdoor patio furniture, stuff like that, because here we are, summertime. People are going to want to go outside a little more, so we added patio furniture. We're about to put a new grill at one of ours, and just little stuff like that to kind of give you more value to pick us over the 3 more on the same street now.
Yeah. Now, are you charging more because you added those pieces of value?
Not much. I think I went up like $5 a night, so it's not a whole lot. But over the long period, it will eventually pay for itself.
Yeah.
But I really couldn't, because a lot of the competition are in at that lower price, and I'm competing with them. So if I go a whole lot higher, is someone going to see the value in me having a grill and them not?
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of hard to tell.
Are they comparable to your house?
Pretty close. Mine is more newly renovated.
Okay.
Theirs is more old school. They have a lot of older furniture. Mine is modern, new furniture.
People like those more. You should raise yours more, I think.
Raise it and set it apart.
Because your occupancy is what?
It's running about 79% or so.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I would raise it on the weekends at least a little more.
So that's what I've done. I've
Yeah.
raised it on the weekends, $20 or so, but normal nights about $5.
Yeah. What about you, Carlos? What are you seeing? Same thing with yours?
Yeah, so we've never been a book far in advance. We've never gotten a month-long stay. We've had some offers, but it just never pans out. So most of our stays, and it might be because of our size, right? We're a 2-1. So I feel like we get a lot of transient, a lot of last minute, a lot of, hey, let's just go down to Richmond because it's spontaneous. So like we don't usually get booked until about 2-3 weeks out. But once that comes, it feels like it's like all of a sudden people got paychecks and they're just like coming in, and they're coming in hot. So what we've done to kind of shift is we're trying to add more value. So we're doing the same thing. We've added some planters, we've added a fire pit, we've done some improvements on the inside of the house too. Very minimal, but like just to kind of make it feel a little bit more homey than like the cookie cutter, right? So keep it super clean, still keep on top of that, but then we're trying to make it more homey and a little bit more inviting for you to like enjoy a longer stay.
Nice.
Yeah. So far it's worked out. I can't say that we've seen a decrease in occupancy or anything. We haven't changed anything with pricing. We haven't done anything like that. So my follow-up question for both of you guys would be, if you saw your bookings decrease, what would you do?
As long as I'm still netting enough more than a long term, I'd keep it as an Airbnb and just wait it out.
So you keep your price and you keep everything. If your occupancy starts to decline and you're still covering your expenses, would you try to pick a strategy to try to bring that back up? Would you make additional improvements? Would you go to VRBO? Would you do more corporate rentals?
So as long as I'm 4 weekends out booked, I'll keep it the same as long as I'm 4 weekends out booked. Now if that starts to change where I'm only 1 weekend out booked and then the next 3 weekends are free, then I'll have to start lowering my prices. And I'd probably lower them to the point where I'm still making as much as I would as a long term. Mm-hmm. And if it starts to get maybe $300 or $400 below that threshold, then maybe I'll convert it back. Most likely I'd wait it out though and just hope. Yeah. Depending on depending on the economy and what I think is going to be in the next 5 years, if I think Airbnb is going to come back, I'd keep it as I'd just keep it, take a loss for a year, and then ride it back up.
Yeah.
I don't see it being that bad though. I mean, I see it going down, but
not with you.
Yeah. I think that if you can live through this,
I was gonna say weather the storm.
Yeah, weather the storm. Yeah. Then I think you'll end up coming out to the other side, because I think that a lot of people, our mindset is very different than most people. I think that have Airbnbs, right? Because they have full-time employment, they have it, right? So that this isn't their end-all be-all.
Yeah,
and they're not putting all their eggs in this basket.
And not only that, but a lot of these newer ones, I don't know if they have the capital to be able to withstand the storm. Yeah, because it's a lot of capital, and depending on what their interest rates when they refinance and all of those things, me and you could weather the storm, but they might not be able to turn it back into a long-term rental depending on what their mortgage is.
But they might have a job
that covers it. That's a possibility.
But if they lose their job, then
it's just all to their reserves.
But let's be real. How many people go on YouTube and TikTok and think that they're going to make $5,000 a month off their Airbnb, and now here they are making $800? It might not be worth it to them, and then they end up either selling the house or something like that to make up for the difference.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, me and all of you guys know that if we're making $600 to $800 a month, that's pretty good. To where most people are like, "Oh, you're not making $1,000, $2,000 a month?
Easy."
Easy, yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I think that they might hit a reality check and they're not clearing $2,000 a month, and they're going to be like, "Is this really worth our time?"
Yeah.
Because we do have full-time jobs.
And also for me, I just wouldn't want to go through the hassle of taking out all the furniture and everything. And converting it back.
You know how long it took to put that in there?
I know, especially yours a 4-bedroom too. Mine's a 4-bedroom, and just move it. I mean, that's like $1,000 expense just to pay movers to do that anyway.
And a 2-day work day.
And then you gotta sell this stuff.
So what would you do? So things changed for you. Things got tight.
Things changed for me. I think I'm partially with Dylan, and I'll ride it out as long as I'm around that long-term rental income. Because most of mine, long-term wise, I could make $700-800 a month long-term.
Yeah.
So if I'm staying around that range, I think I'll keep it and let it keep riding it out. But I think if it ever dipped below that 7 or 8, I would switch to more of a corporate rental. Because we're already furnished. Why take all that furniture out? Why not just go to a couple of... I have some big hospitals and things like that around me that I haven't even touched into yet, to where I would go straight to them and say, hey, look, I got a furnished property, $100 a night, and that at least covers me better than a long-term rental.
Yeah. The one thing I since none of us have corporate rentals.
Well, what is a corporate rental?
Corporate, so corporate for me is when you go directly to HR and you say, hey, I have housing, fully furnished housing for your property, for your
company.
Business.
If they're bringing people, like construction workers.
Correct. And basically, I want them to rent it from me for a month, and I don't care what they do with it. They can put people in it for 1 week, 2 weeks, 30 days. That's what I would consider a corporate rental.
Yeah. So an agreement between you and a business.
Correct.
For them to use.
And we're signing a
business
lease and all of that. It's more corporate, more, I don't know, legitimate lease versus right now, us doing Airbnb, we have no leases. We just have an agreement per night. With Airbnb.
And something that I don't know is like, is the corporate rental space being saturated like Airbnb space? Because like all of a sudden it's in seminars, everybody's talking about it, and like, it's better because it's more hands off and you can still make decent money. So like, is it saturated? Would that even be an option at that point? Because companies are gonna. I mean, there's a bunch of layoffs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Right? Companies are probably laying off a lot, so there's probably less demand for them at the same time as possibly increased supply.
And I think people are lazy. People aren't going to HR and talking to these people. Yeah, heck yeah.
No.
You get a. Wait,
have you been to HR and talked to them yet?
No. I'm lazy. That's what I'm saying. People are lazy. They're not doing that extra mile. We're just relying on Airbnb to basically promote our property.
Yeah.
I'm lazy. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't go to this HR department, even though I know what to do if I had to, but I don't.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are the exact same way. They aren't going to just go to HR if they don't have to and go do that extra step or 2 steps to get there.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. But I think it's a good opportunity if you're able to get in touch and get in front of those people.
That's a good point. Furnish Finder. I didn't think about that, but I would try, if I started losing money, try and convert it to like a 3-month term with like nurses and stuff.
Exactly.
I didn't think about that.
Because I think that would still be better than going back step into long term.
You definitely want to keep it furnished if you ever have any hopes of going back.
Exactly, because it took a lot of stuff, a lot of work to get that furniture in there.
Yeah. I mean, if you try to sell it, you're not getting dollar for dollar.
You're not even close, You're spending $10,000 for the furniture, you're going to get back 5 if that.
Yeah.
Probably not even.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Occupancy plunges as new supply additions come online. Do you know of Airbnbs that have been coming around in your neighborhoods? Like there's another 3 on your street and another 15
exactly in y'all's area.
in Churchill. So in May, Host in the U.S. added 84,000 new listings, and after subtracting properties, it still saw a net increase of 57,000.
Wow. So they're saying, what is that? 27,000 people took their properties off Airbnb.
Off of Airbnb. Yeah. But 84,000 added it.
Yeah, I know. So that's
damn.
I feel like 27 is a lot.
Now, do you think this is due to some of the new regulations? Because did y'all read the thing about Las Vegas? How Las Vegas set up a new regulation to where you're not allowed to have more than a certain amount on a street. Together. So now they're only, and then on the multifamilies, so like your big apartment complexes, if you're 10 units or more, you're only allowed to have 2 units as an Airbnb, and the rest of the 8 have to be long term. To where I think some of these multifamilies, they were doing 6 and 7 Airbnbs and long term renting 4 or 5 of them. So I think that has probably a lot to do with some of those decrease, because once these rules keep coming out, you're not allowed to have but so many, and they only made it to where a single company or person can only have a certain number of Airbnbs in Las Vegas.
You don't think they're grandfathered in though once they start, and then they change laws? How do they pick which ones you're shut down, but you can stay?
I do think that there has to be a grandfather law because that's kind of screwed up. If you've been in it and you have 10 of them in there and you've been doing this for 5 years now, and now you're all of a sudden not allowed to do it. So I don't know.
What do you think, Carlos? You think it's just less income, so people are taking it off Airbnb?
That's what I think. Less income and those restrictions having something to do with it.
Yeah.
It just feeds us right back to what we were just talking about. I mean, people go into it thinking you're making $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and now you make $700-800. It might not be worth it to them.
You know what it might be? Actually, people want to use their houses themselves for the summer.
That could be it too. Yep, they're instead of doing Airbnb, they're taking it off and
taking them off of Airbnb.
If they're
why not just book it out for the month or something?
Yeah.
Do you really think they're gonna stay there for 3 months during the summer? Or
Yeah,
take it
probably
off
if
and
that
then put it back on?
Yeah, you're right. They would just block it off.
Just block it off instead.
Wow.
Maybe they're
So-
selling. They're selling.
Ha! That could be a good one too.
They're selling.
They're
That's
selling.
why a lot of people are leaving
Yeah.
it.
Housing market's hot. Let's get rid of this thing while we still can. And the interest rates are going up. Let me get out of this thing. Well, I don't know.
It's interesting. I don't know. What's 27,000?
Yeah,
Or
27,000.
20, however many. Yeah, 27.
Pretty much.
I don't know, dude. I think it's interesting though.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it's not really highlighted.
It doesn't tell you exactly.
What I'd like to know is who left. Right?
Who left?
To your points, right? Like, is it people who've been doing it for 5 years and they're like, now it's oversaturated, and I'm gonna change my strategy? Is it new people? Is it people who just like overpaid for a property?
Yep.
Like listed it and it was they didn't read the HOA and they can't have an Airbnb. You know, like
exactly.
Yeah.
wait, 27,000 nationally is not a whole lot.
It's not a lot, no. And it could have been a number of things like they took it off of there to put onto VRBO or something like that because remember Airbnb just had all those
The
changes to where it's more friendly for the user friendly versus host friendly.
Yeah. So there were 1.34 million unique listings available for rent on Airbnb and VRBO, which is up by 24.7% over the previous year and marks a new record high for listings in the U.S. Supply grows substantially outpacing demand. Supply grows substantially outpacing demand.
Yes.
Growth for the month, though, with occupancy falling at 8.6% in May and 60.2%. Falling by 8.6. Yeah,
to
in May
60.2.
to 60.2.
Okay, so it was 68.8%, and now it's down.
Yeah. So listing growth could be slowing in coming months, though, as Redfin reports that their home buying buyers demand index was down by 12% year over year.
Okay.
I was gonna say that's a whole nother category. We could
Yeah.
go all into that.
Yeah. I'm not.
I just threw that in. Like, not related.
That's a whole different video.
Yeah, it's dropping. It is dropping. I mean,
so if you were a new investor coming into this, what would you tell them? Like
wanting to do
wanting
a new
to do
investor.
Airbnb. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of people ask us, "Hey, you do Airbnbs. What do you like? What do you not like? Things like that." What would you tell them?
I would say that you have to be careful what you wish for.
Yep.
It's, to your point, it's not as easy as it seems. You have to be, it's a very different approach. You're not a landlord.
Yes.
You're a host. You might as well think of yourself as like a bed and breakfast. You have to be there and provide concierge service type amenities. And then your place has to be unique. What's going to make it stand out? Because you need to stay. Like, with anything that's tougher, with anything that's going to become more scarce or overly saturated, you always want to stand out. And if we have this much increase, you need to stand out somehow. Because, like we said at the very beginning, like our viewership, like people coming to our page, has decreased by about 2/3, right? So if I'm only getting 400, almost 500 people that come to my page a month, how do I convert them? Yes. What can I provide them picture-wise, info-wise, maybe location-wise, which is really important? Like, what can I provide? Is it my reviews? What is it about my stay, my place, that'll make it stand out compared to the competition.
Yeah.
So
Right?
you're gonna tell the newer guys you need to stand out.
You need to stand out, and it's going to be much more work than what you think it's going to be if you're going to try to break through and stick with it.
Yes.
If you're not going to stick with it, then I wouldn't waste
Don't
my
try.
money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't waste my money.
I would
It's
just say
expensive.
expect to not make as much during these next couple years as people are saying they're making.
Or they have been making.
Yeah.
So all the, because you got these guys on TikTok and Instagram and everything
Yeah.
talking about $10,000 a month, $5,000 a
Yeah.
month on my one Airbnb, and it's not at the beach or anywhere like that.
Yeah, and it's true. They probably have in the past, but
Yes.
that could change. It could, like we said, the occupancy's down. If you go from 70% to 60% occupancy, that's
big.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, that is a
That's
big difference.
$1,000 right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
And so I would just say to when you run your numbers, run them a little more conservatively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, because when I did mine, I ran mine at 50%.
Yeah.
Just to be on the safe side, and I knew at 50%, I would still outperform my long-term rental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I made the decision to go with the Airbnb and long-term or short-term rental versus long-term.
Yeah.
I still don't see it as a bad idea for a new investor to get in.
So I
Try
agree.
to
I
get
don't
in.
see it as a bad idea, but just go into it with an open mind and don't think you're going to
Yeah.
get rich quick or any of that. It's more of it's kind of a segment to go into your cash flow.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a better investment than like a long term.
It is.
If it still serves as a long term, right? Like
If it's still, yep. Because I mean, all of us are not only just doing it for the cash flow. We have all the other benefits to go with it. So a lot of these new investors are just going into it thinking cash flow and not what they really should be thinking about.
yeah,
For us, it helps benefit all of our businesses.
yeah.
Go ahead, let's read
All
them
right.
off.
So the next paragraph goes, the number of listings is up throughout the entire U.S., but there are some common themes uniting the market that have added to the most new listings over the past year. All of the markets are located on the southern half of the U.S., with the largest cities in Florida, Texas, Arizona, reeling the biggest net increases in short-term rental listings over the past year.
And what do those have in common? They're
They're
tax free.
Or
no income tax.
No income tax.
Yeah.
And
You said
property
red
taxes.
states?
Yeah,
What'd you
yeah.
Red states, yep.
I heard. I saw red, and then
The sunlight is blinded by the sun.
So the biggest net increase, not percentage, but net increase is Phoenix, Arizona at 6,000.
6,000 new listings.
6,000 new listings.
Wow.
That's a change of 39.9% bump
Wow.
up from year over year, from May 2021 to 2022. Houston, a 55.7% change at 5,700 units. Miami, 27.4. Austin, Texas, Miami, 27.4. Austin, Texas has seen 42.8% more Airbnbs get added. Los Angeles, 17.5. Panama City, 26.7. Atlanta, 28.2. Fort Lauderdale, 31.3. Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Yeah. Dude, that's a hot one, man.
30.
People love going to Gatlinburg.
Really? I've never even really heard of it.
I was like, I didn't pronounce it.
Bro, y'all should go to Gatlinburg. It's nice. It's really
38,
nice.
30.8, and then Las Vegas, a 39.2.
Which I'm surprised that's getting as much during the summer, because that's more of like a fall. Now, I guess summer-ish, but more of a fall, spring type.
No, these are listings though. These
Yeah,
are
yeah,
those
listings wise.
Increased
Yeah.
listings. So something I was listening to earlier today was they were talking about these southern states,
Yeah.
these same states, so it was Florida, Texas, and Arizona, California, and they were talking about how those have seen, except for California, those have seen, so Arizona, Texas, and Florida have seen the biggest influx of people,
Yes.
right? So like
Moving down south.
moving down south basically, and then buying up all this real estate so that they can move into it, live there. That's their new permanent residency.
Yeah.
But as the economy changes and as people might be forced to go back into work, they're gonna also see the biggest exodus.
Oh, yeah.
So
you think demand will slow in those states because people are going back to work?
Yeah. So
Their original state?
going back, whether to the original state or somewhere else.
Wherever the corporate headquarters are or
Right.
somewhere
Yeah.
like that.
So they were saying that that these states saw the biggest bump in sales and saw the biggest amount of appreciation and value increase and resources and whatever. But then they're also going to see the biggest,
which could be good for us because then we
legs
can go
kicked
in
out.
and buy them once they, and who knows what they're going to be able to sell for because they paid way too much for them.
Yeah, so with that, it immediately made me start to think about Richmond itself, right? So like Richmond's so close to DC.
Yes.
We all have heard that people are coming down, including myself, have moved from Northern Virginia down.
Yeah.
And so are we gonna see, maybe to not to that degree,
No.
right? But are we gonna see some sort of
switch? And
some sort of like puncture in our
Yeah.
prices, our housing, that kind of stuff? What's your sentiment?
I don't think that many people moved to Richmond because of COVID. Because COVID,
Same.
they were able to telework, so they chose Richmond. I feel like they're moving to like out of if
They
they're
moved here because it was cheaper, possibly.
yeah. But if it's completely remote, I'm saying
their work
if it's completely remote, I doubt they'd say
Move to Richmond.
like from DC. I'd be like, oh, let's just move in Richmond. They'd probably move like I don't know,
Stanford, in the middle or something.
or somewhere like more.
Nice.
Yeah, like Nashville,
Florida
like
or
Tennessee,
Gatlinburg
like we're
or something like
yeah,
that.
Gatlinburg.
Yeah. I love Gatlinburg. It's so nice during the fall. It's like perfect.
But because I don't know personally that many people because of COVID and then went teleworking moved to Richmond.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know many people that telework that moved outside of where they lived anyways. I'm sure a lot did.
Yeah.
But
I think it was mostly Californians that probably
exactly.
Yeah.
mainly because
New
of taxes.
York,
probably.
all of those
Yeah.
went down.
The people that I do know that moved down from Northern Virginia all left their job.
Okay.
Came
Yeah.
down.
Yes.
So then that becomes a permanent residency here, right? Like
Right.
you're no longer teleworking. You're no longer
Correct.
strapped to.
Yeah, so they're not going to move back.
So they're not
And,
moving
that's
back.
just for a different reason,
Yeah.
but it's not because jobs are making them come back. That's what you're asking, right? Jobs are making people come back.
Yeah. So then our people are going to now leave.
Yeah,
if jobs
I
are
don't.
making them leave.
I wouldn't say Richmond's in that category as much.
Yeah, so that was
I
that was my feeling. Was just like we're kind of in the middle. We're kind of in a sweet spot. We did feel a good amount of bump in our appreciation and house values and all that, right? Sales prices, but it wasn't exclusively
I don't
because
think
we
we're gonna
have
feel
all
that
these people
down.
from California
Right.
coming this way,
Agreed.
right? Because then we're at risk. The pendulum has swung.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know. I think we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
I don't think we're gonna get hit that hard. Our rents are pretty high, so that's gonna be for the next episode.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about rents.
Segment into the
Yeah.
next one.
Oh, I can't wait for that episode.
All right, guys. So again, thanks for joining us. This is our Airbnb, AirDNA analysis, article
Input on-
reading, whatever you want to call it. So if you guys have more questions, if you guys like the Airbnb thing or have other questions about Airbnb or personal experiences, whatever, just make sure you make a comment or send us a message.
Have we got any questions from people on YouTube commenting
I don't think we
about
have
anything?
yet.
Okay.
No, not yet.
My contractor commented on our YouTube on the pricing, and he was like, "Dude, you don't pay that much. Why are you telling me?" He said a square is X. So I'm like, "Oh, thanks for letting me know."
So again, like, subscribe,
And share.
share,
Yes.
comment, do your thing.
Simple
and
touch.
again,
It's a simple touch.
Generation